you so much for meeting us back here for Hong Kong Attitude versus Lowkey Esports, a game that has huge impact on the standings. HKA want to take control of the group, and Lowkey wants to flip it on its head. Let's talk a little bit about the standings, because as the day has played out, we have been shocked and surprised in both of the previous games.
Yeah, this is our Group A, I guess, one more time, potentially if Lowkey come out with a win, because I think the biggest upset was actually Mega picking up that victory over Hong Kong Attitude. You know, we joked a lot about the Pantheon in that game, but in particular, Rocky stepped up so much on the Camille and was able to find that huge win over the Pool 1 seed from the LMS.
And I think what we've seen is that if you allow the game to go late, Mega are very comfortable there and Dale's able to take over. If Lowkey make the similar mistake versus HKA here, then they're in a lot of trouble, because I think that they need the game to be bloody. I think they need it to be a different style than what we're currently seeing them throw at opponents.
Now, there is a big change this game. Hong Kong Attitude have changed out one of their bot laners. M&M is out and Unified is in. They did manage to pick up the win earlier today. Let's talk a little bit about Unified, and I know we were talking about it beforehand.
Of course, I misspoke. They got the win over Lowkey
Yes.
Esports. But yes, I think in this this team did look very good. Of course, this was a game where 3Z was on the Quinn, creating all that side lane pressure and really not giving a lot of room in. It felt like with that Quinn in a side lane, Mega were sort of confused as to how to deal with that pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. However, you have a look at the AD carry in particular. Unified did play more games during the summer split. As I refer to my hand notes, it's 34 games played for Unified, 11 for M&M. He was able to pick up the wins over both G-Rex and Flash Wolves, it says here. It was AHQ where M&M saw his last play in the playoffs.
That's cheating, right?
I don't know. No count. I mean, we have cue cards. Can I just ask, take a look. Can you show
It's actually on his hand.
hand notes is actually on his hand here. I won't do that fun. But yes, more experience is what we're talking about. What is this going to do for the game coming up against Mega? Of course, for Mega, you know, they're looking at the situation where Lowkey, sorry, where they're looking at the situation where they want to pick up the win. It's been a long day. But what anticipation does it do? You have the ability to sub it out, and now Lowkey have to respond with very little time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as I said, Lowkey would have a bunch of set plays that they run at level 1 to warp map state to how they want the game to be played. Now, I think it's actually going to be Lowkey starting on the blue side this time around. What we've seen is they do like to invade top side jungle when that is happening, create a split map scenario. So I do want to see them go towards one of those set plays. As far as HKA is concerned, I actually don't think this changes anything. Both of their AD carries are big scaling AD carries, and I know that potentially some pocket picks coming out, but not all that much will change.
In particular, I'm looking at Unified's Jinx. I believe he picked this 5 times during the LMS season. M&M has also played 1 game of the Jinx, but he definitely looks much better on this. And also, if you just look statistically, comparing these two AD carries with M&M and the other side as well, it does look much more stronger. It looks much more strong for Unified in the bot lane.
And I really felt like Lowkey should have won that game earlier today. You know, it came to a late game team fight. It ended up not working in their favor, and Mega managed to pick up the win, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about what this means for Lowkey. They're sitting at the bottom of the group. We were expecting them to win this group. And we've had some crazy fights that have determined victories, but Spawn, how important is a win here for the VCS and for Lowkey in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to go into any game, day of Worlds and say we have to win every single game, otherwise we're just going to be out, or at the best playing tiebreakers, right? So being able to reset the table right now, being able to pick up that win and force everyone into the love triangle that we were speaking about yesterday is going to be big. Also just confidence. Like, a lot of these players, apart from Celebrity, haven't made it to the world stage before. So being able to pick up a win for Artifact, for DNK, be able to get them to play that bloody, fight-heavy style is certainly going to be important.
I also think after dropping that game to Mega, the questions this raises for us is it actually possible a team we'd almost written off could slide in here with a win here from Lowkey Esports? They could try to slam that door on their face.
We don't have too much time left, but if we zoom out, are you surprised by the level of play that we're seeing from this group? Because we felt this was a little bit more done and dusted at the beginning of the day.
I think we expected this group to be more chaotic with more room for upsets, but it always felt like the top 2 were clear, and then there was Mega. I think with the performance that Mega put on in both their games, actually, even though it wasn't the cleanest League of Legends, the level of competition between these 3 teams feels a lot closer than I expected.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if Worlds has taught us anything so far this year, it's that you just expect the unexpected at this point. You know, with how Group A worked out, Flamengo just picking up that win as well versus Turkey, something they've struggled to do the last couple of years. And now coming into this group, everything's just kind of been very strange. And I think stylistically as well, this group hasn't worked out, and Lowkey are the biggest people that suffer from that as opposed to benefit from it.
It's actually super interesting as well because we're getting to the point now where #1 and #2 seeds are getting close to being felt out, and other groups will be looking at this group going, I really hope we get some of these teams. It is a possibility. Look, the pressure is on Lowkey this game. They absolutely want to avoid going 0-2 to start the play-ins.
Thank you, Quickshot. You're completely right. Going 0-2 here would feel a bit like a death sentence. Of course, a chance for you to run it back in the second round robin, but just
always chance.
Just feels really difficult, disastrous. You get 1 day to recover, you come back on day 4, and you have to run it all back. It's a big task. It's a tall task for anyone.
And then there's the pressure of the games that you've already played, like the styles in which they happened. Are these picks not working out? What do they do to us? Are they going to do it again? It's always a certainly bad place to be at the bottom of the ladder. So a win here, incredibly important for the VCS representatives.
Now seeing the bans as they come out. Once again, the Morgana Limited taken away from Lowkey Esports. Something they're no stranger to seeing. And the Renekton will get taken off the board from 3Z. Could, of course, also be flexed into the hands of Mission, but not something we necessarily expect to see here. And really curious what the first pick is going to look like. And honestly, after the previous game, kind of happy to see Pantheon banned away. It looked like a quite powerful champion early to mid.
Yeah, it looked slightly obnoxious, some would say. It's interesting as these two teams going to ban things away, like the style of game we're going to get. The Mega game earlier versus HKA. Weird draft with like the Queen top. That's something we've been seeing in solo queue. Eventually able to pick that one up, but anything more standard going into Lowkey, I think will be incredibly explosive. These are two teams that very much like to play the early game, removing options like the Morgana, especially into a team like Lowkey, where it's just a really tough lane to play in. If you're champion pool on the bottom side, you're looking at picking up the engages, the Thresh, the Nautilus, the Rakan, those sort of things. That disengage is just super annoying to deal with, and I think it makes a lot of sense here.
And I like that we're seeing the Karthus banned away alongside the Renekton. You know, the Karthus taken away limits some of the more scaling options on the side of Hong Kong Attitude. And we saw in their previous game, it was a messy early to mid. They were clearly behind. And while they were able to bring it back, it really was on the back of some crazy plays by the team as a whole. But now the Qiyana will get picked up. Curious to see whose hands it's going to go into. We've seen it one time so far, and it's been
Jungle.
Monstrous today. Yeah.
Also have seen Mission in their qualification series actually pick this one up. And the big thing I want to note, it was a Qiyana Rakan sort of duo. Hong Kong Attitude are a team that very much likes to just be able to like force the fights that they want to fight. They're super creative in terms of Kaiwing and Mission linking up, looking for these flanks that Qiyana is most known for, forcing those big team fights. And I expect with this pick locked in, yes, it is flexible, but if it goes to his hands, early skirmishes and these team fights are going to be super tough.
Interesting now to see the Syndra locked in as the second pick could once again go into the hands of Celebrity. I was underwhelmed, I'll say. Early game looked very good, really did not transition well in mid to late game, but the Gragas coming in for DNK, you have to be careful. You have to respect this pick because when DNK gets rolling on this champion, he looks unstoppable. And looks like Hong Kong Attitude may want to respond with some early game presence of their own in the form of the Elise, a pick that we've seen banned a lot in the second phase.
And that's the thing, right? We'll be talking about like AP junglers and their presence on the early game. These are the two that are actually very good, right? Echo needs a little bit more time. He is that more of an assassin. You get the level 6 mark and you get access to dashing back, but Crash gonna lock this one in versus the Gragas. Both of these junglers gonna have a lot of agency, and I sort of mentioned it there, the Rakan, a big possibility here for Kaiwing, one of his best champions. I do just want to blind that one away. We've seen the Leona matchup be locked in already. If they want to go for it, it will be an option, but okay, switching it up.
Going for the Pyke, not going to be quite, I think, as easy to pull off as a champion like Rakan if they do want to form the Qiyana Rakan pick duo, but instead you're going to have Qiyana Pyke, and that's going to be money in the bank if they can start that snowball rolling, but more importantly, just a lot of engaged threat on this team already.
And anybody that gets CC'd just straight up dies. The damage on this roster that HKA have put together already, Elise, Qiyana, Pyke, is monstrous. And it is going to be the Tristana actually locked in. We've been seeing it banned away from Lowkey. It's a big pick for Celebrity. It does open up the possibility of that lane swap, right? When you're looking at the early game options, the Qiyana, the Elise, this is something that we've seen most notably in the solo lanes this tournament, where we have seen, I believe, a couple of Tristana 80 carry games already, but kind of skyrocketing in priority, and a pick that Celebrity is certainly comfortable on.
Of course, the power to info buffer, a lot of the potential CC coming his way will make his life that much easier against a pick like the Elise and the Pyke. And I do get worried if they do try to pull out some of the more creative lane swaps, because you have a lot of dive threat on the opposite team. Have to be careful how exactly you make your lane assignments in the early game. And the Nautilus, where the options to the Pyke will be limited. The Jace taken away from Lowkey Esports.
And what else do they lose? You would think maybe something like the Xayah could be taken away. Obviously, the Rakan was not locked in, so you're not going to get the Lovers duo, but in terms of top tier AD carries, Kaiser, of course, is still up and available. That is a respectable ban. Xayah is going to be the choice here, whereas you expect the supports to be taken off the table, maybe something like the Alistar, the big tanky guys that can deal with a Pyke in the early stages.
And you have to feel pretty comfortable moving the late game. Kai'Sa versus Tristana. Yeah, Kai'Sa probably better at shutting those tanks, but Tristana with a little bit of self-peel, enough options to go toe-to-toe with the Kai'Sa with the range advantage she holds. Now, the final picks are going to start to come in here. Lowkey Esports debating who they want to save last pick for. We'll have to reveal if some of these options are going to be a flex. If we see Celebrity once again with a Syndra in his hands.
And that is the thing, like technically it is still a flex. A support lock-in now still holds that technicality. Syndra can go in the bottom lane, Tristana can go towards the solo lane. So just keeping that option open is super good. And HKA going to have to respond here. Given the information they have, AD carry would be the likely choice. As we mentioned, like Kai'Sa is up and available, but into a Leona Sivir, that'd be a very nice choice. You could dodge out of the Gragas. He has that one button, the cask. If you spell shield, that's super impactful. When we see the Leona into Xayah matchup, the reason it is troublesome is because you have to blow your Featherstorm on the ulti of Leona, and Sivir just pops E, she's fine. Makes a lot of sense down here for Unified.
Also very easy to protect yourself. Good solo wave clear in the event that you want a player like Kaiwing roaming on this Pyke in the early game. And after what was a very kind of slow and steady pace from HKA earlier in the day, I'm excited to see what they can do, because that's a Mordekaiser coming in. Maybe going in, I think we have to see the lane assignments before they're actually going to decide where they want this to go. They've got a lot of flexibility in the solo lanes.
Okay, GP, gonna be the response. Kind of just a top tier pick in the meta right now. Very standard stuff, but Mordekaiser, in terms of isolating matchups, both positively and negatively, does that. He's hard to gank for because he just wants to ulti, get the stats, and kill people. But in terms of the reaction there, very hard to pick on because he does exactly the same thing. Now, Trist and Syndra got about 15 seconds for Artifact and Celebrity to decide where they want to go, what matchups they want to fish for. Lots of flexibility on Lowkey, not so much for HKA.
Curious to see. Really, honestly, Mordekaiser has been such a whiff in the LEC domestically that it's hard. I've seen it do so well internationally, but I'm nervous for 3Z. He's only played it twice so far, up into the likes of a GP. Yeah, in theory, a lot of individual 1v1 power, but the oranges in that matchup, as well as the fact that the GP can influence the map, does strike a bit of nerves. But more importantly, I think inevitably we have to look towards the bottom side of the map, BJim. Once again, Celebrity on the Syndra, despite mixed success with it earlier in the day, and going to be fishing once again for these big picks. There's a lot of follow-up CC and damage between the Leona Syndra combo.
Yeah, and you have to think about, like, what was the problem last time? It was the transition, not the lack of ability to get the advantage. Syndra does just that. And in terms of a low range, low mobility, in terms of a dash, he has a speed up with the Sivir, but dodging out from Syndra orbs can be super tough in all honesty, and you have to pick your windows. What you want to spell shield is very impactful. If it's a Syndra stun, Leona double, triple CC is coming in over the top, so the first one has to be done. So they're going to be a tough matchup down there. And the one thing we haven't hit on is actually Unified playing in this game. Eminem was seen earlier today. He's a guy that's been on the roster, but actually got less game time in their most recent split. So Unified was the expected starting roster, switched it up, and he's going to play here today.
Yeah, as we gear up for our final game of play-ins day 2, or HKA rather, versus Lowkey Esports. Coming in now, and I think I want to see the difference when we look at it statistically. They feel somewhat comparable. Obviously, Unified is the stronger player on paper overall, but I'm curious to see how much the team's play style changes with this man on the map. Are they willing to be a bit more aggressive? Are they willing to leave him alone a bit more so a player like Kaiwing can roam?
And that's the thing, right? Like, I think Kaiwing can be a big roamer, especially when you're early picking something like the Pyke. But it's the intangibles that are hard from an outside perspective to grasp. Like, player differences, yes, you look at the stats, like how much DPM is an AD carry putting out? Like, is he costing us games? Yada, yada. But how does it make the team feel? What does their cohesiveness look like? Is there, in terms of how they communicate, does that change drastically based on the AD carries? It's super hard to look at from an outside, from a fan, from a caster, an analyst perspective, and we'll have to see how he performs in this game here.
And one thing that I love is that we're already seeing sweepers come out here in the early game. Pyke gonna grab one just to make sure that they can sweep out some of that early vision around mid. Will make Artifact's life a bit more difficult. The threat for a level 2, level 3 Elise gank, especially when Qiyana has some of, I would say, the most powerful gank setup in the game outside of a champion like Lissandra, where she can just hit confirm on the water blade to lock you down. But once again, I think inevitably all things come down to, outside of individual skill discrepancies, where the junglers decide to put their attention in the early game. Range advantage for mid will make things a bit easier, but the Elise and the Gragas really the champs that we have to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, and speaking of the Gragas as well, not going to be the Electrocute or the Predator or anything like that, actually going for the Dark Harvest, so getting stacks early, scaling up late. He's got to deal damage, right? Gragas has gone through a transitional period. He was like a hard tank, Cinder, Hulk, jungler, maybe Runic into tank, but now much more. But you get the Zhonya's, you get the second item, and you are a threat on your own, right? DNK is exactly the kind of jungler you would like to see go this route. Like, he is a very aggressive early game guy. They play through the jungle a fair amount, and look, he's a bit of a baller picking that one up. That's cool.
I like it. Big confidence play, I'll say, overall, but it looks like the level 2 race going in favor of the Sivir. As Unified is able to grab that one. Lethal tempo as well, just to make sure anything she hits will make it that much easier to pressure the wave with the additional attack speed. And things going pretty well for HKA at this point in the game. Curious, too, how top lane is going to go. Obviously, we see the engaged whiff on the bottom side. Good use of the spell shield there to deny any follow-up. But Hani last game was, I'll say, a bit of a liability. Got a lot of attention his way. He was up against a Camille. It's a bit different this time around. Once again, he finds the GP in his hands, but he's up against the likes of a Mordekaiser, a champion that can be incredibly oppressive. But so far, he's smacking him around.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Both top laners actually leased for their respective junglers, but able to get a bunch of priority grasp again. That's actually a jump in the mid lane. Ooh!
Good flash reaction out there. DNK fishing for the body slam flash. If that had connected, it would have been a very dead Qiyana, but will not go through.
Yeah, but the one thing he doesn't know yet is that his blue buff is now gone. Pyke shows his face just above the river there. So DNK, a gank opportunity, cost him his flash, one of Gragas' best tools, loses him the blue buff.
Now going in on the bottom side. Leona stepping forward, Aftershock's been proc. She's so incredibly tanky Celebrity. Now going in for a bit more. Unified trying to get in, but Venus goes in. That's a bloodthirsty support. The Ignite is down, but he stayed for too long. He gets thrown back. Dangerous, dangerous play, but first blood going to Unified.
Crash still wants it. Cocoon cooldown will be coming up in a sec. DNK goes
forward. The Water Blade.
forward.
Artifact now getting aggressive. So much early game Tristana damage. The spells are going to be more than enough. Crash manages to find one back, but Artifact needs to be careful. The input buffer.
Artifact!
Pushing for the Sivir. Wants one more kill. Grabs it. Has the reset again. Are they going to look for another kill onto Track? Ooh, Crash gets caught out here, but now going to fish for one back. Has the blue buff. Has the extra damage. Is going to go in. He can clean this one up. Celebrity has no mana left. The Elise can just look to chase the Scatter of the Week. That's the last that they have for damage. The Pyke hook has to dodge it. Ooh, perfect wait on the flash from Celebrity to make it out, but HKA coming out on top of the play.
Yeah, only 4 minutes in and so many members dying. 5 kills across the board right now, and no TP for the Sivir on the bottom side, so a long trek back to the lane, but the wave is yet to crash, so super, super aggressive stuff. You have to think about, like, Venus in the beginning. The flash over the wall looked so good.
And we can watch the play again. Syncs up, waits on the spell shield before he hits the stun. Just really clean play. And Venus looks like, as you said, going to be the hero of the hour here. But then Unified makes it out, and now we're going to have to hold that thought, because here comes DNK. Knows that there's no flash. Waterblade comes in. Big slow, though, coming through. DNK just going to clean that one up. Mission goes down. Good response from the side of Lowkey.
And look where all the kills are going. Elise very big on the side of HKA, but this Tristana is already massive. For a lane into the Qiyana to be this far ahead this early on a champion, that her passive just gets better as the game goes on. Trist, late game AD carry, we've seen that be super difficult to deal with. Artifact is having the game of his life right now.
And once again, just want to reiterate, much more explosive than the games we've seen earlier today.
Yeah.
This is the pace that we promised everyone. We're like, guys, listen, all these games,
fast group.
These are going to be the fast group. They're going to pop off. First few games, much slower, much more controlled up until those late game stages. But this time around, just a completely different story. In the meantime, though, Hani grabbing what farm he can on the top side of the map, sitting comfortably ahead of the Mordekaiser, but 3Z doing a bit better as he gets a few more levels under his belt. And sadly for Celebrity, not really able to do much with the poke there. The passive from Sivir, just making sure that she has enough movement speed, even without boots, to dodge away from a lot of these dark spheres.
Yeah, certainly is the case right now. You can see vision control on the top side. It's being held by VCS representatives. Gragas just fishing for a little bit of a reset, but this is kind of the matchup with which the map is going to swing. Tristana in a very good position. I was talking about it yesterday. Like, the build is very forgiving with the Blade of the Ruin King, and Qiyana is all about kill threat. It's got to be rough for Mission to sort of look for any of those plays. That was incredibly close.
A bit tragic in the end. Does not connect on the stun. Celebrity once again going for the Syndra, and I think we're still waiting to see the big impact from this pick, but that will not be this moment at this stage. Good stun comes out. Aftershock to make sure it's safe. The Pyke now has to be careful. Unified no mana left, but gets a bit more of a hit down there. GP Cannon Barrage now coming in. Unified needs to run for the hills. Venus trying to fish for this one. Kaiwing, good damage on the Pyke, but it's not going to be enough. Celebrity grabbing the kill. Now the Pyke needs to run for his life. Crash is here. This is where all the gold has gone. Can he get anything done? Venus now has to be careful. One more auto can do it, but no! Venus walking away. The creeps will not finish him off. Shutdown goes in for DNK.
And just what they needed on the bottom side of the map. The GP dings 6. Cannon Barrage comes over the top, and HKA, that we're looking aggressive. Lowkey with the response right now, and could be more plates off the back end too.
Has to be frustrating for the side of Crash too. So much damage, 2 early kills, not able to finish that one off to make the play a little bit favorable. And right as Celebrity runs out of mana too, he's going to get a nearly perfect back as Unified's going to do what he can to pick up as much of his CS as possible into the tower.
And you mentioned the word frustrating, like absolutely. Seeing a Syndra be able to right-click an ignited target for a kill, doesn't even have mana for a Q, and this is really where it started. All of the buttons have been used. Pyke hook landed with the cocoon not to follow up, and here they just have to play low HP bars, but they know they can force this one. Cannon Barrage does damage, but the slow speed mid lane.
Now retreating, the Ignite is down. Kaiwing fishing for the hook, but the Elise has not come back down yet. Artifact's gonna live! Crash, a massive fumble. Why did he not go for the Tristana? It must have been out of range. Lowkey coming out on top once again.
And the game just completely turning on its head. That was the one opportunity. Artifact doesn't even fall down at the end of the day. He's 500 gold over the next biggest opponent in Crash. He's monstrously ahead of his lane opponent right now. Dragon up a mountain will only speed up this game.
Oh, and Celebrity rising through the ranks in total gold as well. And now Cutlass coming in, bits and pieces on the side of the Qiyana. We'll see what she can get when she backs. A straight and jerk maybe can help. They can still, of course, always, if Artifact messes up the leap, 100-0 the Tristana. But once again, frustrating has been the name of the game. The amount of plays that Lowkey have gotten away with where it feels like someone most certainly should have died. It's already 2, 3, 4.
That's kind of the nature of these sort of games. Like you experience it in like solo queue where you just have scrappy fights all over the place, like low blinking HP bars, walking away from a ton of early game skirmishes. Certainly can be tough to deal with. Level 6 marks now being hit by the bottom lane. You can see Unified is at that mark. Celebrity is absolutely there as well, but the support's going to hit relatively soon. We'll spice things up down on the bottom side. Not a lot of summoners are gone right now. Hani popping it up here.
Yeah, can't really afford to face tank Death's Grasp there. Pretty much the only ability you really have to be scared of Mordekaiser kits. Artifact stepping forward though. Oh, whoa. That's huge damage. Press the attack. What's the explosion there? Venus. Actual flash, not a hex flash, but he's not afraid to commit it. Celebrity there as well, but Mission, good heads up. Manages to flash out and will be okay. Plates, though, going down in favor of Artifact.
Yeah, ambitious look there in the mid lane. Venus, unfortunately, not able to find it, but the damage just came from the reset, right? Like, Artifact gets forced out of the mid lane fight. He's on 100 HP, but he had tons of gold to spare. Was just sitting on a Vamp Scepter. Goes back, finishes Cutlass and Tier 2 Berserkers. He's dishing it out, and then Mobies are the expense on the other side, right? Like, in terms of combat stats, just not useful. They may provide him with opportunities if Crash can get in there, force some priority and link up and move over the map, but in terms of the straight 1v1, Artifact has that on lock right now.
Just have to be careful. The only really strong, respective member of this team, the Mordekaiser is doing fine, and Crash, the only member with a really comfortable lead, but even he, the Gragas is catching up, slowly but surely. Yes, the farm lead in favor of Crash, but only really the Sword Shoe separating them for now, and the Gragas still has to be respected. Looks like they are going to fish for the play. The root is there, that's the CC, but no, the rocket jumps, he still manages to buffer. How is that possible? Artifact making it out once again.
It just gets out scot-free. Flash traded from DNK, so the junglers come in, but being second to the play as a jungler always feels nice. The counter is there. Another plate going to go over to the Tristana.
And there's no threatening cooldowns. They just walk in and they take more. The demolished procs. It's going to be
Venus
easy.
is here.
Venus is here. He has the Moby boots and Crash with all that extra
Flash!
Artifact! Going to finish this one off. Another reset. Pop, pop. This time he doesn't get the buffer, but he doesn't even need it. Needs to walk out to safety, though.
Oh,
no! He can't do it! The Death Realm made sure he can't escape. 3Z's going to be happy with that one. The whole team showing up, but Mordekaiser going to be the one to grab the shutdown in the end.
Yeah, huge big burst of gold goes to the Mordekaiser. Hook. Cocoon is actually on, but
a lot of free resistances coming up with Leona, and good to see HKA make some plays back, but Artifact has been insane this tournament. He had a good Akali game. Hugely aggressive play there. Yes, you could call it questionable in terms of how it ended, but overall, big confidence move.
yeah, confidence is the word. Wing underneath the turret. They know the top laner has TP, but calculates the damage. It is kind of unfortunate what ends up happening here. At the end of the day, he would have been jumping into a Pyke, so probably not long for the world anyway, as 3Z's able to clean this one up, but this was just a pick back in response from HKA, right? Like, low-key are being the aggressors. They're taking everything they want. They're looking like they're taking the Mountain Dragon, too.
Kaiwing coming in, though. Has the level 6. The hook is there. Venus, if he gets hit, they aren't going to focus onto him, though. A lot of good damage, but Artifact is here waiting in the wings, and that means that Mountain will go over to the side of Lowkey. Gold, though, dead even. This has been a breakneck game, a constant stream of kills, almost a kill a minute. Crash, in the meantime, will respond on the top side, which I think wait a minute until the next big play.
Yeah, certainly is. And the one thing you do have to note, like, compositionally here for Lowkey. Last time with the Syndra, in terms of early game lead, they had it and they struggled to transition. Now with a Mountain Dragon and with an actual AD carry on their composition, like, transitioning from that early game lead to mid game to late game with a Baron buff looks much easier. And a lot of that is the back of this man Artifact, right? Now, this Tristana, 4-0 PTA, finished the Bork. He's a monster.
And look at that damage share. You know he's the carry of the team. And think about it so far. Like, the bloodiest, the most active early game that we've seen so far was 12 kills before 15 minutes. That was DFM versus Splice. This is very much on track to beat it. Might tie it up right here, depending on how confident Hani is feeling under this tower. Of course, difficult to dive the GP when he has the oranges up and available. But now we see maybe this is the moment. First item starting to come in where the game starts to slow a little bit. A bit harder now to force these big plays without losing anything. But DNK, Gragas, do something you always have to respect. No flash available yet, but
no flash, but he's got strong thighs. He zooms around the map. Doesn't have a Predator, but still certainly threatening. The one member on the other side now completed the Nashers, working on the Zonyas, just sitting on the Seekers for the matchup in early levels. Of course, Rift Herald taken by Crash, thrown into 3Z's lane, and he's an explosive player, right? This is a guy that I mentioned, like, the VCS is the region where you have to prove it. Like, he is that embodied in a single person. 1v1 carry player, picking up the Mordekaiser the first time we've seen it on the play-in stage. He's being given a lot of these resources, given the trajectory of the other lanes right now. And if anybody's going to turn this game around for HKA, you have to look at 3Z.
And Nashor's Mordekaiser is, you know, new for me.
Interesting.
I expect Leandri's. Usually that's like what I
maybe
heard.
a belt? Like a proto belt?
But no. He wants to whack him, fast, and he wants to whack him hard, and that's about it.
Maybe it's like GP barrels, the attack speed. You lock him in the death realm, I can imagine, like the attack speed, like they can't go anywhere. So he just right-click their head. Cool, all right, sure.
Okay. Spend 3K gold, whatever, to right-click GP barrels.
Right-click Mordekaiser.
Which all matters. Yeah. Walk him down. If they get in range, you're going to hit him. You hit him a lot. But of course, relatively even overall still. 7 kills for Lowkey, balanced out by some of the CS discrepancies in these lanes. Syndra suffering a little bit up against the likes of the Sivir, and the Mordekaiser just continues to have wave priority here.
Yeah, and that's really the big thing, is like the AD carry comparison and the mid lane comparison. It was the Nashers. It was the Nashers.
Got him. Extra CDR, the sole reason you can come out there with Death's Grasp. And that's the theme of the game. Buzzword of the day, frustrating.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
And this is the thing, Ejin, when we look at this, like, I respect Crash has been everywhere. You know, he's got 100% kill participation, but I get nervous because I've seen far too many Elises just fall off and become a cocoon bot, and we're not there yet. We're probably 5-10 minutes past that point, but DNK's Gragas is scary. And you've probably noticed it if you've been with us the entire time this game, but he burns flash off cooldown to gank lanes.
So, I like that in a Gragas.
So do I.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? You can beat, there's 2 types of Gragas. There's like the flingers that are all about their KDA. They're just flinging barrels, like they don't want to go in, they just want to let the caster do work. And then there's DNK, Dark Harvest, flash off cooldown, just in your face Gragas, and he's looking for mission.
There's a smite. Oh, they're waiting.
Okay.
He was hoping to get the free flash, but he said he's holding back on the Gragas Bloodlust, and instead will set his sights on the tower once again. The Tristana coming through with the demolish of her own. Makes her just a lethal tower-taking threat, and that means 1 tower will now drop for Lowkey. Mid lane next in their sights, incredibly low from all the damage Tristana's been able to do thus far. But things are going to be a bit difficult here for Celebrity. If he gets hit by the Sook, he's dead, but good sidestep. We'll take him out to safety, but playing with fire there.
Certainly is. It's always scary when a Pyke gets that close to you and you're just a Syndra. You're just waddling around. It's got tier 2 boots, yes, but just left alone in the mid lane. You can see Lowkey putting all of their resources towards the side lane. Artifact is the man right now, 4 and 2. Got his Bork working on his second item. In terms of a side lane threat, that's a Dusk Blade and a 0-3 Qiyana. It's a one-sided matchup so far, and 20 seconds left on the Infernal. Everybody brought down from HKA. 3Z doesn't have TP, but he's just wandered all the way down the river.
Remember that as strong as he is in the 1v1, he has not bought items that give him a lot of defensive stats. The CDR, nice to have. The attack speed, nice to have. Additional damage, of course, if he gets on top of you, you're going to die, but has to do so. And it is going to be difficult against a cast, but why not matter? Artifact now pushed back. Oh, will connect, and they're not going to push for anything else. Getting missions alt will be more than enough for the team at this point.
Members rotating down from HKA, thinking about a response, maybe just trying to make them walk out of their bot side jungle. All 10 members down on the bottom side of the map. This Infernal still spawning. Scrying plant, super underrated right now. HKA have a bunch of vision in the area. Wave was pushing in deep bot side, and resets look like they're coming out from the VCS.
But in terms of AoE, you just have to give a certain amount of edge outside of the Sivir to the side of Lowkey. You got a lot of individual pick tools. You have the Pyke, you have the power to reset, you have the Elise, but if they don't start the fight with a pick, things are going to be very difficult.
Anything extended right now, like you're comparing a Tristana to just the one item Sivir, damage charts will not be even there, and HKA looking for a death push. I was saying in Champions, like, this is a team that likes to sack side lanes. Nobody's been top for a very long time. 3Z's cooldown on the TP has come up, but they know they want the Infernal, they know they want to fight around, and they're just willing to spend all 5 members down here.
And unlike the previous game where Hani played GP, where he was consistently pressured in by that Camille, just constantly by the likes of Rocky. Artifact, though, once again stepping in. No ultimate this time for Mission. He's on the hunt, flash forward, manages to get it, leaps right back out, and continues pushing the wave.
But is he going to get picked off by Kaiwing? The ulti, the Pyke can clean this up. There it is.
That was, what do you even say? Dead Tristana. And Pyke's going to make a lot of money after that. I was 0, 1, and 2 up until that point. Pyke was not looking scary, but with the double cut, the changes to how much gold he gets off the ultimate, he might just be able to go back and get a Dusk Blade, and suddenly the Pyke is a lot more scary.
Yeah. One of those weird champions that doesn't realistically need items to do things in the late game, right? Like, it just increases the threshold and the damage that he can execute you at, so feels super nice to be able to clean up and can kind of skew the damage and the gold numbers, as you're kind of alluding to. One of the supports that can be super oppressive with it. We're going to take a look at what is happening down here. They have complete bot side control. Mission thinks he's safe to clear this wave, pulls from the turret, but just very easy cleanup at the back end. Costs him the flash, but straight up solo kill in the side lane.
And you got to respect it. You know, no real chance for him to get out, no chance for him to grab a grass element to try to stealth up and get away, and just the constant aggressive use of the rocket jump in from Artifact. And
there it is.
Fearless. Has to be careful, though. No rocket jump means he can't put buffer this one.
Stunned?
And that just feels like a travesty. Kaiwing. Abysmal move. 2 members standing right in front of each other. Does not hook past them. Tries to predict the juke and costs him so much. Pyke dead before the fight even starts, but HKA still seem ready to contest. Don't want to give this a follow, but instantly goodbye to the Sivir. Free pick off the Gragas cast. Comes back. Crash. The most fed member of the team now still run for his life as the rest of the team desperately tries to sneak the dragon away in the meantime. Celebrity now on a killing spree and disaster for the side of HKA.
Yeah, all of a sudden, 30 seconds. That's an ulti.
Trying to get something back. DNK now going to be in trouble. 3Z can't step forward. They have to be careful. 3Z still has ult up and available. He will not hit the GP, but he can just turn right onto Celebrity if he wants to. Syndra already with most of her major cooldowns gone. No flash either, but no ult for Mission means LK are just going to walk in and take the dragon away.
At the end of the day, they came for what they got. The Infernal Dragon in the back pocket. They're able to clean it up. Probably shouldn't have died off the back end, but get exactly what they needed. It was kind of dicey for HKA there. If Lowkey win that fight too handily, you can just ignore the dragon, walk towards a Baron buff. 30 seconds of the death timers at this point in time, but kind of have to take a look at the setup. We were mentioning like the W's, the aggression from Artifact, but HKA just coming from 2 completely different angles. 3 members bot. Mordekaiser's in Tribush. Kaiwing, you said a travesty, misses everything, dies to a Syndra stun, and then it's Celebrity Syndra stun that gets them the next kill. It's a fight on 2 fronts. It's a 5 versus 2 and another 5 versus 2. Unified just cops it. There's so much CC. The follow-up incredibly easy. DNK over the wall. That's everything you need.
And realistically, you look at this composition we talked earlier. HKA, they get a pick. It's very easy for them to just close out a fight, to play cleanup. But if they fall behind at all, if the Elise isn't the one to initiate with the good cocoon, if it's not the Pyke starting you off with a hook, they've got nothing left in the tank. They're simply too far behind. Double Dusk Blades for Mission and Kaiwing not going to be enough at this stage of the game.
And that's the weird thing, right? Like the gold lead isn't enormous. 1.2 at 20 minutes, approaching that 22 mark isn't the biggest we've seen by no means, but these fights are just looking super lopsided right now. The Tristana feeling very hard to get on. HKA, multiple members up here. Venus looking like he was in a little bit of trouble, but he's walking away.
Can start to chase here. Celebrity, though. Second item, Banshee's Veil, is going to make his life a lot easier against the single target engage threat from the opposite team. And I mean, the shining light, once again, is 3Z on this Mordekaiser. You know, he's got 2 halves of items completed in both the Haunting Guys and the Seeker's Arm Guard, as well as the Nashers, but outside of the single kill and the single assist, has not really been a super relevant threat yet at this stage in the game.
Yeah, the one thing is, I think in terms of matching the GP later, Nashers probably helps, right? Like if you could just hard force, you just ulti, he has to fight you, we can't go anywhere.
There might not be a later.
But yeah, Baron start, 8k HP, here we go.
Got some tanky members to do it. They have to be careful. Mission coming in on the side. Respect the Qiyana ultimate, but that's the engage. Venus trying to lock up the jungler. Hook coming in for Kaiwing. Once again, fails to connect. Venus now running for his life. Crash trying to finish this one off. Blastcone sends him back into the pit, and 3Z's there to dunk him down. The alley-oop coming in from the side of HKA. It's going to force him off the Baron, and big bit of a fumble there from the side of Lowkey.
And exactly the same thing happens at the Dragon, but at the Baron buff this time. Crash, though, he was on vision. That Q gives.
Going to go down.
Spotlight, okay.
Spider will spot Celebrity, but they're not going to push for anything else. Instead, setting their sights on the mid lane tower. Unified continuing to scale up, getting scarier and scarier. Have to respect the late game potential of a Sivir to just hit the front line and kill everyone.
And that was just such an ambitious call. We're sitting here looking at the Mordekaiser, like the Nash is like, okay, maybe later in a side lane with a Leandries, you force it. You can play that way, but Lowkey just like, all right, 20 minutes, like, let's do Baron. We've got TP on the Gangplank. Syndra has his as well, but they straight up start it up and honestly get punished off the back end.
And this is normally the point where I get really scared of the GP. It's the Leandries and my solo queue limited experience against this champion, but Nashor's Tooth on top just makes things go from bad to worse. I think we're at the point similar to where we last time with Hani on this GP, where he cannot sit comfortably in the side lane. But now, Lowkey, they're going to try. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Tenacity, definitely a trait you have to attribute to Lowkey. They're going to fish for this one. Mission stepping in. The ultimate from the Qiyana gives him such good pit control. Mission, though, instantly just going to get deleted. Hani going to snipe that one out. One shot, one kill, making it look easy. The rest of the team now stepping forward. The Baron getting lower and lower. They're mixing him up. They've got split focus. He goes into the pit, but the Gragas going to grab it at the end, and now it's an absolute wipe. 3Z in the pit, in the death realm, focusing on DNK. Is going to look to take him down, but I don't think he can handle the rest of the team. He pulls him back. He's going to get one more onto Venus, but it's not enough. It is the Baron going over in favor of Lowkey Esports.
And the straight-up team fight is exactly what they need. A couple of interesting plays. Mordekaiser trying to isolate the jungle, but Baron ends up going over, and in a composition with a Trist. He's got solo lane, so already accelerated in terms of game state. Level 14, pushing on these turrets. The entire outer ring already broken, so the inners and the base just left alive. Probably the biggest gold lead we've seen so far. It's only 2k at this point, but Lowkey, you said it. They started up before, did not work. This time, they just run it back.
And there's just nothing you could do. The second the Qiyana gets locked up even once, she instantly dies, and this is not a game where you could realistically afford to invest in a QSS. And here you see the desperate attempt, but the Mordekaiser, a little bit late on the ult, of course, has a delay before the ulti actually kicks in. In that delay, Gragas finds the smite, secures it, and a good look from DNK. That could have been a disastrous moment.
Yeah, it could have been 200 HP on the smite, but the crash was actually in the pit, but securing it, now sitting up on the bottom side of the map. Dragon just going to be taken for free. Zero reason to contest that if you are HKA. But the damage numbers, when you compare a 2.1k damage Tristana to a get one shot before the fight starts, I just queued 232 damage Qiyana, that's a Baron.
And this is the thing, as we talked about, the people who can kick plays off and had the damage to follow it up for most of the early to mid game was Crash, Kaiwing also on level 6 Pyke, someone you expect to be able to follow up, but it's not there this time around. Hani has to be careful, but easy for Artifact to just keep sieging. Hani taking the brunt of a lot of these cooldowns, but there's just not any follow-up whatsoever from the side of HKA.
And there's just no respect for side lanes right now. You can see one track minded is Lowkey right now. 5 members bot side, mid lane pushing towards them, top lane in the same boat, but they want the fight down here. Crash sitting on a pink ward. Very nice play. If a flank can be there, Qiyana.
Not the target you want to hit, however. Good damage onto Venus, but was hoping to find someone like Artifact. Half helping Tristana may be the difference maker, but you're also now dealing with a red buff. A little bit of poke is not going to be enough to seal the deal. And Lowkey
Back to bottom lane.
This is once again, raw determination. The first Baron didn't work, try it again. The first bot lane push didn't work, try it again. Because 3Z's getting absolutely chunked out. Rampage coming through for Artifact.
And he's the strongest member, the one man that could isolate, potentially do something, but now Inhib gonna be broken for free. HKA just backing off. Zero contest here, no reason to. Do they stick around? Do they want to go for the 4 versus 5 end out of the Nexus? Potentially.
Dodge the Boomerang Blade. Huge chunk of damage now gone. Kaiwing only level 10. Doesn't even have the second level in ultimate. Unified, though. 2.5 items. Getting more and more comfortable. The threat of the re-engage is there, but Lowkey moving in, unafraid, pushing in on the bottom side of the map and breaking open that inhibitor.
Yeah. Full reset going to come through. Not too long left on the Baron. And finally, someone will go answer the side lanes. That does mean that you are seeing like this CS discrepancy. DNK just kind of sitting with his team, because they're so committed to what they want to do. Just the straight up siege, 5 members in a lane, break that inhib. Crash actually has like 50 CS in terms of camps over him, but just meaning so little right now.
Like, you tell me in a game that my team has Baron buff and the enemy Elise is 50 CS ahead of me at 28 minutes, I'm going to say, ha, nice.
The other one, 50 CS, is a Sivir. He's pretty big.
See, that one, on the other hand, I am scared of. That's nerve-wracking because 3 items are super scary, and it only goes up from there. Let's just say it for the sake of all the narrative enthusiasts out there. 500 CS Sivir win condition.
It's 550.
It's like 550.
Nah, that's my logic, because you sell your boots and then you get the next item and then you're all good. That's the extra 50 that pushes you over.
So it's even further away than HKA thought it was.
Yeah. Bad luck, I guess.
And still only a 3K difference. It feels like it's been such a low-key favored game for the last, I don't know, 8 minutes, but they just not amounting to too much in terms of gold. See, maybe now on this siege mission, fishing for something, but too easy for Celebrity to just check these brushes without really risking anything.
Double blue trinket makes their life a little bit easier as well. Baron, of course, spawning in a minute 30. They want to crack this top turret and just, honestly, even if they don't get the turret, just holding HKA in this position, just keeping them in prison, basically. If they can't push their ward line up, just walk back, you one-hit the Baron, you already have the Infernal, the Mountain. Everything you need is there. Super long range means that those wards just get cleared without any sort of contest there. Lowkey still hanging out in the area.
So difficult, Legion, for them to find really any advantage here. Artifact waiting in the darkness will walk up. Start to lay down some damage here, stepping just close enough to start proccing to demolish. Won't be able to channel that one any further, but might not even need to. 3 items, of course, for the Tristana as well. And Hani, while he initially might have been scared of the Mordekaiser, looks much more comfortable to just keep pushing forward. And 3Z comfortable in this 1v1. May not as be comfortable in this 3v1 because there's a body slam. They're knocking him back. The Death Realm comes out just in time. The Gragas set in his sights, but now he's the one who has to run. The rest of the team going to try to cover, but they can't interact with the Gragas. The Mord goes down. Artifact now pushing forward, looking for the reset. The Elise goes up. Now she's going to come down and get knocked out, but now they finally are able to land the hook, but Artifact just input buffers the reset on the jump right out of the base, and Lowkey continue the siege.
Yeah, Baron still spawning in 20 seconds, but what can they do before that point? Qiyana was stuck dealing with the waves as they forced that fight. Artifact,
Hook
though.
connects. Big damage. Not going to be enough. Celebrity just walks up, hits his buttons. Huge ultimate coming in. It looks like 6 balls on the ground, and Hani's just going to push to end the game. Kaiwing and Unified need to be focused up, but they do not have any mana. Now she does, but it's not going to be enough. In the end, Lowkey barreling into the base. Absolute confidence in the mid game. Now pushing to end the game as the rest of the team just gets absolutely collapsed on, and you wanted it, it's going to be delivered. 1-1, the story of this group.
Just resetting everything. Tristana, massive performance in this one. Artifact coming up huge, and honestly a good Syndra game, right? We were kind of questioning it in the first time we saw this one. They couldn't transition, but everything else around it looking the goods. They get it towards the late game. That solo kill just right then gets them the 3rd pick they need to crack open the Nexus. Equalizing the scorecard, and the group just straight up reset.
1-1. Now the second round robin could be more exciting to watch, and for Hong Kong Attitude, it feels like they have to go back to the drawing board a little bit here because the Pyke. I'm just going to say horrendously underwhelming.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they got a single solid Pyke play off that entire game. One reset on the back of a very aggressive play from Artifact in the bottom side, but otherwise wasn't landing the hooks, was not finding the engages, and the Rakan was right there. He was debating. Something we've seen so much success from him on, but he just opted instead for Kaiwing to go for the Pyke.
And that's the thing, right? You could have had that team fight option. The Rakan, Qiyana, we've seen that give them success before, but yeah, as you mentioned, Pyke, one of those weird champions that like doesn't really give you prio to play with, but you kind of need prio to function on the map. And given that Lowkey were just super aggressive in the early game and they were making things stick, like the opportunities were just so few and far between. And that's just a lopsided game. You get they end it without the Baron just coming up. They get the team fight that they need, and yeah, just no response there from HKA.
Not really a lot they could do, right? You look at the Elise, of course, you were expecting to see that early game advantage. It happened, but once again, similar to the story we have with Celebrity and the Syndra, similar story for Crash, where he gets those 2 kills. He's the beneficiary of these very scrappy fights, and then cannot get anything else after that. So really good on Lowkey to shut down those opportunities for the Elise, but also something that I think HKA need to look back on as we see the final moments in the game. And you see Mission highlighted, a little spotlight there, and there's good reason, sadly not for Mission, as he just gets absolutely one-shot.
And that's the thing, right? Like, the other team needs to be starting this team fight with a pick. HKA desperately need that to start off a successful engage. And Elise ultimately did get in the pit. That could have been a smite steal. It could have been a completely different story written at the end of this game. But as soon as that pick comes over, the Baron secured. It was just lights out there for HKA. Lowkey, after a rough start to the day, able to close this one out very easily.
A very back and forth game, though. You can see right up until the 20-minute mark, huge swing in the favor of Lowkey. And once they were 100% in the driver's seat, they never gave anything back. And the damage charts...
triple.
Artifact, once again, I feel like has been the absolute consistent standout for this team. And he is the guy that if I'm looking at the next round robin, that I expect target bans. I expect... The only time I would ever ask for a Tristana ban outside of when, like, Reckless is on stage. Because Artifact just murders people. He has no fear about jumping in to close out these kills, and he was successful every time. Yes, he paid the price.
It's really good when things work out. It feels so nice.
It's an aggressive cooldown. You can leap in for it. Of course, be sure to stick around, though. World's cooldown is coming up with Jack Frost and this man right here, Ejim, after this game and gearing up for an interview on stage. But looking at it, just a crazy, crazy second day of plans. But Lowkey got their first world win, so let's hear from their mid laner.
Thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Artifacts, for joining me. In the intro, Ender was saying that in the VCS, you're kind of the bad guys. So tell me, what makes you the bad guys of VCS?
Thì trong đoạn coi như giới thiệu về team Lowkey mình thì mình được gọi là chú hề của VCS, thì tại sao mình lại có biệt danh này nhỉ?
Tại vì ở VCS á, thì team của mình là dạng chơi game một cách gọi là tận hưởng cái game đó nhất á. Dù là vô trong một giải đấu thì tụi mình vẫn chơi theo một cách rất là thoải mái cho mọi người dễ chơi, chứ không có chuẩn bị cầu kỳ để chiến thuật này nọ để đạt chiến thắng. Nên là biệt danh đó chắc từ đó là ra.
So in the VCS, we are different than other teams. So we have a free play style where we just enjoy the game instead of preparing all the strategy. So that's why we got that nickname, Bad Guy or Joker of VCS.
All right. Well, I also know that there's a rivalry going on between you and Marine Esports, who are already in the group stage. So is there anything you would like to prove to the Marine Esports waiting for you in the group stage?
Thì theo chúng tôi được biết thì bạn team Lowkey và team Gam có một mối thù khá là lớn ở VCS, thì các bạn có muốn tới được vòng bảng và chứng tỏ cho Gam là các bạn tốt hơn Gam hay không?
Mối thù thì cũng không hẳn, tại vì chơi game ai cũng là đặt mục tiêu vô địch, thì Gam là đang là đội tuyển mạnh nhất VCS đại diện cho Việt Nam, thì tụi em muốn vô địch thì tụi em phải cạnh tranh với Gam. Thì nói chung là giờ thì tụi em cố làm hết sức để gọi là chứng minh là Việt Nam là một nước không hề yếu thôi.
So it's not really rivalry because Gam is the best team in VCS, and if we want to compete for a final, like championship, we have to beat Gam. But our main goal is to make VCS a very strong region in the world.
What makes you different from the Marine Esports? You said that they were stronger. Obviously, they won multiple times, but how are you different in play style?
Thì bạn nghĩ là cái lối chơi của team Lowkey và team Gam nó khác biệt ở điểm nào?
Tụi em không có gọi là trong đội hình á, thì tụi em không có một người nào chơi quá xuất sắc đi, cho nên là tụi em phải đánh xoay quanh với nhau, chứ tụi em không có một mũi nhọn thực sự, cho nên là tụi em phải cố gắng cùng nhau để mới đạt được chiến thắng à.
So the main difference between our team and Gam is that we don't have a superstar player like Zeros in our team, so that we have to stick together, develop together to actually win the game.
Yeah, well, let's see if you can compensate for that now. I heard that sometimes you can jokingly flame your teammates in a way and the way they perform in the game. So let me know what you thought about your teammates' performance today.
Thì mọi người cũng nghe nói là bạn cũng hay coi như là trêu chọc về màn trình diễn của đồng đội. Thì bạn nghĩ như thế nào về cái màn trình diễn của đồng đội bạn trong ngày hôm nay?
Hôm nay thì game đầu tiên tụi em ra sân khấu nước ngoài thì tụi em có vẻ hơi bị khớp về phần tâm lý, cho nên là game 1 tụi em đánh hơi tệ, chứ còn game 2 thì màn trình diễn của em và cũng như team thì em nghĩ là mọi thứ đều ổn rồi.
So in the first game, we're a little bit nervous because this is our first international appearance. But in the second game onwards, our mentality recovered so that we perform up to our standard.
And do you think it's going to get better for day 2? Because right now, every team in this group is 1-1.
Thế vì bạn có nghĩ là trong ngày thi đấu thứ 2 mình sẽ còn trình diễn tốt hơn nữa, tại vì trong bảng đấu này đang là một bảng đấu rất là khó khăn khi tất cả các đội đều đang có 1 điểm.
Em nghĩ trong những trận đấu tới thì team em nếu mà không bị tâm lý và chuẩn bị kỹ càng thì tụi em tự tin sẽ chiến thắng trước 2 team thôi.
So in the upcoming match, as long as we have a strong mentality and we got good preparation, I'm confident that we can take down any teams in this group.
Well, I wish you good luck on that, and thank you very much for the interview, and thank you also for the translation. And to wrap up this second day, let's send it over to Cool Down.